recruit Kira. Yeah, not on the calendar there. Typically, the last couple of months, weekend number 3 has been a cross-server leaderboard event, which, we've told them time and time again, we don't particularly care for because there's no paired SMS with it. Also, it's not giving an opportunity to get the officer from this month. Now, maybe it'll have the officers from last month, and you'll have another crack at getting some Picard or data shards. Or more likely, it'll have the officer from the previous arc, and we'll be looking at, trying to get like Phlox or somebody instead. Still same impossible milestones for low 40s. Well, the milestones are equally impossible for most players if you either aren't incredibly frugal in saving up, and picking and choosing your spots, or if you're not buying packs every month. Um, that's really just kind of what they feel like. These officers, they really want to get their value back. I guess somebody realized, like, hey, we were giving them away too cheaply previously, which is why they revamped the whole scoring system almost a year ago now, I think, um, to try and make these milestones, they changed the scoring system and lowered all the point values. And they lowered this to match appropriately. And then every single month since then, for the last 8, 9 months, the point values have gone up. These have remained the same, but the amount you need to spend has gone up consistently. And I think if we go back far enough all the way to the beginning of last fall when they started making these changes, in fact, this will be a fun little experiment. Does anyone want to guess? Let's see, how far back can we go? Let's go to stfc.space and let's go to events. And how far back can I go? Can I go back to October? Yeah, I think I can. Can I go back before October? Can I go back to like August? It won't let me go back quite that far. Come on, what are you doing, you stupid thing? That one goes there. All right, let's go back as far as we can, which is... It won't let me go back any further than... Oh, I can go back to September. I can go back to the Recruit Ransom events from September. So, does anyone want to guess? This is what my values currently are. Does anyone want to guess what my SMS values were for Ops 46 for recruiting Jack Ransom in September of 2023? What was my first milestone? And consequently, what would then be my top milestone would be 10 times that amount. Now, this event did work a little differently, as this Recruit Jack Ransom SMS had 6 milestones in it, which is a little weird, but even still, if we're trying to get 35, 45, half the shards, right? 18, 31, 40, 50, okay. So this is the old scoring system, actually just looking at it. So this is the old scoring system. Recruit Jack Ransom. and I had to spend 28 million total to get the 50 shards. So double what we have currently right now. But the point values were 5 times higher. So I had to spend twice as many resources, but I got 5 times the credit for spending them for the G3s and double for the G4s, at least in some areas. But now we're going to move it up just a little bit further because when they did the revamp, when did they do the revamp? Nope, it wasn't October. Was it in November with Carol Freeman? November's where it started. They started monkeying around with the scoring back then. But these were still higher values. So let's go find. Where did it start? Where did we get the current scoring system? Okay, so the current scoring system went into effect in December. And that was with the Enterprise E Heroic Riker events, as far as I can tell. All right. So at Ops 46, back in December, new scoring system. They had lowered it a little bit in November, but then they went even further. They were still given like 40 points for uncommons. It went from 100 to 40, and then they went, you know what, let's go a little further, and they dropped it all the way to 20. So to get to the current scoring system we have now, this went into effect in December of 2023, so basically 7 months ago, almost 8 months now. And at that point in time, at Ops 46, that was what I needed. 459,000 for the first milestone, 4.59 million to finish it. So over the last 8 months, they have tripled. 300% increase. Tripled the amount of materials needed to spend. Went from 459,000 to 1.47 million. It's 3 times as much. 4.59 million going up to 14 million. That's actually a little over 3 times as much because 4.5 times 3 is about 13.5, so this is a little bit higher. So point values have remained the same. Spending amounts have tripled. And they'll argue that, well, yes, but we're giving out more resources in the Battle Pass than we were back in December. We're giving out more resources in events and ticket events and things than we were back in December. You're definitely giving out more in packs, that's for sure, which is what your cost valuation is always based on, and what we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were looking at Kira. But just to see these two numbers side by side, and again, it's the same scoring system, it kind of just lets you know that recruiting officers is no longer, a guaranteed thing in this game. It's guaranteed if you're spending. If you're not spending, well, you're going to have some hard choices to make. Can you pick up some from doing the lower milestones and then get the rest down the road in future events or possible, packs whenever they're added, in-game packs, recruited packs, or recruit bundles within the game. Future syndicate events when they source some of these officers, the galactic recruit pack options, if you pick up any of those from the ticket events. Or is this what you're spending your event store loot on? Is unlocking all the officers that you only got part of during the month? So, milestones are definitely insane now. Yeah. What's up, Deathkill? Good morning. Sasquatch, welcome on in. Yeah, that's just kind of where the game is now. And, obviously people are getting priced out. Now, the good news is that, well, a lot of these officers are very niche. If you're not doing PvP, which, there's some of, there's certainly ways to avoid it. for a lot of these events. In-game events often have a workaround, or we cheese them with like Rialta PvP or something instead, just to get the event done and to avoid having to participate in these types of shenanigans. And if you're, investing in these officers to get them, well, there's still the old power curve. And while they do help, you know, if you have them and your opponent doesn't, you can punch up a little bit. If you're 42, maybe you're taking out a 46 if you have better officers than them. But you're probably not taking out a 50 or a 53 in most situations. And the same thing as you move up. If you're a 53, can you punch up and take out a 56 if you've got better officers than them? Maybe, but you're not taking out an epic. You're not taking out a G5 epic. The ship's just way too big. There's way too much power and too much other research and other things going on. So getting these officers isn't, to me, as necessary. And then, of course, there's the old writing on the wall, which is by the time you do get them and actually get them leveled up at all, well, the game will have moved on from them and we'll have a next new, you know, chase the meta type PvP or even PvE officer grouping that has now replaced what you were chasing after for so long. So I'm not so worried about it anymore. I'm just going, yep, okay, they put new officers in the game. I'm still just going to do the upgrades and things that I want it to do. And if it happens that it works out, great. But I'm not chasing officers because you're just going to end up making yourself dizzy.